Or they can just like bulldoze everything here. Just put campus right here next to downtown.
I know the reason why we have that building over is because Ernie's dad just gave it to him pretty much for Carvana.
Because I noticed the drive time building was too far
Right
away.
there, yeah, and like he just gave it to him because Carvana like was a subsidiary of drive time for a little while, but then they're just like,
It's on fire right now.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Instead of the code. So whenever you log into, instead of getting a code, you can just, you'll have it.
I don't think they have it in our Oh, really? Yeah, they don't really like us outside of this park. But they don't do enough to stop us.
That's why I haven't put anything on my phone yet. I was like,
yeah, they don't like us doing that. They don't have anything to stop
I'm pretty
us.
strict with it actually. I tried to, when I got home yesterday, I tried to work with repositories. Yeah, unless you're in the
That stuff is extremely strict. Like I can't, like there's like half the stuff I can't do, but I can get to Slack, email, my schedule, message.
Yeah, that was the only reason I didn't want to put the on my my Google Calendar. It has like so many events going on, and it would be nice to be able to be like, oh shit, what I'm doing is
That's what I was trying.
Morning, North Carolina markets. Cargill State is well situated by a car.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We still have a few important things to cover, so I'm going to start right now. All right. Two more things we have to cover. The first thing is state. All right. So we looked at props or properties. Now we're going to look at state. All right. Huh?
Arizona?
Oh no! I wish it was as easy as this. All right. So props versus props and state. Props are a little bit easier to understand. State is kind of a little bit complicated. Now, when we talk about state, for properties or props, we were using function components, right? Function component means it was a function. Now, we talked about class components. When you talk about the state, when you go to the coding part, it's going to be a class component. You cannot use a function when you're using a state. It's not possible, right? It's not going to work. And if you look at the documentation, I have the React app up. You're going to be kind of following this. But some of the important points, again, the state for properties, function component is fine, right? Usually when you're using a props, you use a function component. But if you want, you can convert a function component to a class component and still use props. Okay, I'm just telling you, but usually you won't see that going around. Okay, but for state, when you want to use a state in your code, the only possible way is to create a class component. You cannot have a function. Okay, when I talk about class component, this means that I have to create a class, an ES6 class syntax. That's what I have to use if I want to use a state. Now, from the concept wise, what is state? Remember, for now, our websites are still static, right? They don't do anything. There's no action going on. There's no interaction, right? When we did jQuery for interaction, remember we said jQuery is the one that goes and modifies the DOM, and that's how you have the interaction. For example, the example I'll show you is, this is the same example that we did when we started with jQuery. I have a counter on my screen, and then I have a button. All right, when I click this button, the number over here changes. Okay, so there's the interaction. You click a button and something happens on your web page, the counter goes up. Okay, now when we looked at jQuery, how did we do this? We manipulate the DOM. We went over here, we kind of get this ID back, and we manipulated the DOM, and we were like updating the values as soon as the button clicks. Okay, the concept is still the same over here. Behind the scenes, React is doing the same thing. It's just the syntax is now different. How is it different? React uses something called state. Okay, for interaction, for making your web page manipulate the DOM and making it more interactive, it comes with state. Now what happens is when the state of your web page changes, that's when your page kind of gets reloaded. I'm using the word reloaded, but doesn't mean that your web page kind of goes and refreshes and all that stuff. React is smart enough. It sees what changed and it goes ahead and updates that. And how does it do it? Again, using the state. Okay, that's what state is. Again, to repeat, important points are if you're using the state, it has to be a class component versus a function components. Okay, if it's a props, usually you will see function components. Okay, that's the difference between a function component and a class component. Okay, questions? All right, let's look at the code. Now I'm saying we need a class component, so instead of function, we're going to create a class component now. This still remains the same, so I'm going to create a component and components, and I'm going to create a counter.js. Okay.
It's in your public folder?
Where do you think it should be? Exactly. There's only index.html in my public folder, and I have my bootstrap added over there. Okay. Now for function components, we still have to import React. Now for class component, you need another component that needs to be imported, and it's called component. Okay, so I'm importing another basically a library, and it is called component. Right? You guys understand? I had to use curly braces. Why? Because there can be only one default, and the default is already taken. So there, within the React library, there's a component called component, and that's what I need to import. And it has to be in curly braces because I'm importing this. Again, you will see a syntax where you don't import this. I'll show you that as well. All right. And this is required for creating the class component. So I'm going to create a class counter. Extends, you can see the syntax over here as well. Somewhere at the bottom, creating the class. Okay. Extends, and I need to extend component class. Now, again, just to repeat, this is my class counter. This is the parent class. And where is this parent class? This is part of this React, and that's what I imported. Okay? When I do this thing, this means this class has some properties and methods that I need to use in my class, and that's why I'm exporting it. That's why I'm extending it. Okay? This is the syntax to create a class component. You need this component over here. Now, in some cases, you will see React.component. And this is required if you're not importing this separately. Okay, so this means in this import, there's a component called component. Go ahead and import that. And this is required if you don't import it. It's up to you guys. I like it this way so that I know what I'm extending for. I don't like the dots in my parent classes, so that's why I have it over here. But you will see in the code, and that's the difference between those two.
So you don't need that?
Up to you. If you are putting it over here, then you don't need React.component. If you're not putting over here, then you need React.component. That's the difference. Okay?
And it's okay to use both.
It's up to you, yeah. Or wherever you're working, look at the standards, what are the coding practices, what are the standards, and then follow the same ones. Okay, but I wanted to show you guys the difference between those two. All right. Just like function components, we had a render thing, right? In this case, it's a render function.
So can you ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. And then you return something.
So
Yes.
with class, are we talking about the same class that goes with CSS class?
No. ES6 class from Monday. Object-oriented class. It has nothing to do with CSS class. Go back. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go back and look at the ES6 class. This was covered in Monday and Tuesday. Go back and look at that activity. It has nothing to do with CSS. This is object-oriented ES6 class. Okay. I'll be here after 2 if you guys want to stay and go it, but it has nothing to do with CSS class. Okay? This is the ES6 class syntax that we're using. Okay, now I have my class. Then in this class, there's a render function and it returns something. Where does this is? Let me go back here. You see over here. So you need a render function, similar to a function component that we were using. We didn't have a function over there. We were just returning. Why? Because function component itself was a function, right? So inside my class, I have a function called render, important, required, and then within that you will go ahead and return your div tags, same as your function component. For now, let's fix this. So I'm going to put a div tag here. Let's go back here. All right. So this is how it is. Now let's go ahead and import this in my app, and then we'll come back and look at the state part. Make sure this is working. Import from your slash component slash counter. Import counter. It should give an error. Counter. Okay. Am I getting error? It cannot import counter. What am I missing? Excellent. I'm missing the export. Export default class name counter. Awesome. All right. So no errors. Everything looks good. This is the stepped out basic syntax for creating a class component. All right. Again, why is this required? This is required when we start using the state. That's what we are going to look at. All right. So before using the state, this is what I'm working on. I have a counter, label, a number, and a button. So I'm going to go ahead and this is just JSX. I'm going to look into the Bootstrap card, and I'm going to copy the card code over here. All right. So card text. Let's go ahead and create a card. There's no state right now. I'm just creating a simple UI, and this is my UI. Okay, card. Let's see, text. Again, I don't remember any of these. This is just Bootstrap that's guiding me. Okay, so I have a class, and then I need a card. And this card will have my label. The counter should show up over here. There it is. Okay. Let's add class. You know what? I'm going to copy this class. Class header, text, and white. Okay. Okay. So I have these div classes. I have my click on. Now I need the button. So let's go ahead and create my. Okay. Let's go ahead and create our button class inside my card body. Okay, so this is my card, this is my card body, and inside it, it's going to have a button and a text. So let's go ahead and create a keypad. Click count. Click count. Let's say 1 for 2 for now. Okay, this is how it should show up. Add some CSS class to it. Okay. Last one is just the button. So, button. Okay. And when I click this, the counter should go up. So call it increment. Okay. Add a CSS class to it, so kind of looks nicer. Okay. So far so good. I just created a card with heading, counter, kind of hard coded this value. We're going to change this. So now purpose is when I click this, the counter should go up and down. All right. It doesn't work right now. Okay. Now when I click this, remember the on-click function? That's what I need over here. Same thing, on-click. So let's go ahead and first do the on-click method. So this should be here, all right? On, show it here, on-click, this one, okay? And then I need to call some function over here. You guys following along? I mean, I understand the text because I've kind of zoomed out. That's right. But it's, let me do this. This is how it looks like. This you guys can't see probably. All right, so button, and I have on-click function added to it. All right. Now, what does on-click function, on-click does? You have to pass in a function, right? Remember from jQuery, same thing over here. Now, what does that function does? What are the arguments, or what are the parameters that function is expecting? Let's suppose say handle click, right? And what do you pass in? A E thing, right? Remember E was the event, right? You pass in an event or you can skip it. But those are the only two options. It has to be an empty or you pass an event. Otherwise, there's nothing else. Okay? So this means I need to create I need to pass in a function that takes in this argument. We'll go ahead and pass that in. Let's go ahead and create the function. This is my render function. I'm going to create a new function called handle. Let's call it handle increment. Okay. Handle increment. Okay. Arrow syntax. Let's stub this out and see if we need these things. Okay. And then we can go ahead and call this dot increment. Okay. Now this is a class. Any functions, any properties that you mentioned in the class, how do you access them? You have to use this dot this function. So if I have another function created over here, I want to access it in my JSX, I have to do this dot something. Okay. So I created a function. Now if the click happens, it's going to call this function. Let's go ahead. If you do a console log over here, let's test this out to make sure this is working. Correct. Okay. Yep, there it is. Okay, so this is working now. So I created a click event. I hooked it up over here, and looks like this is working. All right, now what I want to do is when this click happens, I want to update this number, and this is where the state comes in. Okay, again, state, one more thing, state is local. Props is kind of passed down. State is always local to the component. This means the state exists in this and only this component. Every component has their own state, right? You cannot pass it around. Well, you can pass it, but the state is local. It stays over here, and it's very local to the component that you create. So every component that you create is going to have their own state, right? And how do we access that state? It's called state. That's what, and this is how you access the state of every component. It's literally just called state. All right. You see the curly braces. What does this mean? What is the data type of this state? It's an object. Everything is an object. And then within the state, you can mention, create properties, function, whatever you want this to be part of. So in this case, let's create a variable called count, and I'm going to assign a value 0 to it. Now, what is this saying? This is the React is going to look for this variable. Anytime this variable changes, it's going to alert the DOM, and it's going to say, hey, the state changed. So please go ahead and refresh it and do something over here. Okay, anything that you mentioned in this object is part of the state now. Okay, anything within that state changes, this means React is going to say, oh, something changed. Now I need to go and refresh my page. That's what you're saying. So you are, if you want anything that to be changed, to be part of it, you create, you use the state variable, state object, and put everything inside it. All right, you can have many objects, many properties you can do. Counter, 0, something, create even functions, everything is allowed here. Okay, let's start with the first one. So now I have told React that there's a count. Anytime this count changes, this means you have to go and update the page. All right, now where do I do this? It has to be inside here, right? Every time I click, my state should change. So let me go ahead and remove, let's keep it away. All right, so this is where I'm going to change my state. All right, now when I say change the state, what am I doing? I'm just updating this variable, right? Basically, I have to say is count is equal to count plus 1. That's what I need to say, right? I mean, it's wrong syntax, but I'll come and fix it. But from the logical perspective, this is what I wanted. Every time somebody clicks, I want my count to go up. Okay? Now, since this count is part of state, they have a method called set state. This dot set state, if you look at it, shows up over here. All right. Within this method, you are going to pass the state that is getting updated, which is basically an object which has this count. So my count is being updated with a new count. All right. Let's take a minute and look at this syntax. First of all, set state. It's a function, and this is the only way to set a state, right? I know this thing looks like an object, and it's tempting to say, hey, can I do this? State is equal to a new object or write something. This will not work. Okay. React has a method called set state. Anytime you want to update anything, you have to call this dot state. What do you have to pass in? You have to pass in an object, right? You have to pass in this object. Within that object is the one that's getting updated, which is the count variable. Okay. So what am I saying over here? I'm saying update this variable count, and this dot state dot count. What is the value of this? 0. It's always going to be the one that is there, which has been updated. So basically, you're saying, hey, get the current value, and then go ahead and update it. If this is 1, next time it will be 2. Next time it will be 2, 4. So it goes ahead and updates this, which basically in turn is updating this thing. Okay? All right. Let me complete this, and so that you guys can see what is happening. So I click this, the state is getting updated. This count is getting updated, but I don't see it. Why don't I see it? Because I'm not showing this anywhere, right? I've hard-coded this over here. What do I need to change this with? Has to be a curly braces because it's updating something, JavaScript, right? Remove the hard coding part. And what is getting updated here? The count, right? This dot state dot count. See this? Every time you click, the state changes. It goes to this function, updates the count, comes back, and then this thing automatically gets updated. Again, you see there's no refresh happening. You have kind of put this text over here, this dot state dot count. As soon as this variable over there changes, React knows to go ahead and update the state. And what is it updating? Everywhere you have used this count, it goes and updates. But you look at the web page, it's not the whole web page doesn't go and refresh it itself. It's just this component, this thing that gets updated. Behind the scenes, it's just going ahead and updating the DOM. Plugging into this DOM goes ahead. If you remember jQuery, that's what we do, right? We go ahead, plug it into it, and update this. Page doesn't refresh and all that stuff. React does the same thing behind the scenes. All right, questions? Props and state. Extremely important. This is the second part of updating this. No questions? Wow. Okay. Yes.
So props are mutable, but state is mutable?
No, you are updating the state, so it's not mutable.
That's okay.
Oh, props are immutable.
And then
Yes.
state is mutable?
Yes, it has to be. That's why it's updating. Yes. Good question. And state is local. That's where it stops over here. Okay, the state is local to every component. Yes. Um. So you're saying for GSX over here, what would be the use case? I'm just wondering. Give it a try. But usually you will see the state is based on variables and functions, something that is updated. Because JSX, I mean, you can, I don't know, you might be able to put it, but I wouldn't put it because JSX kind of resides over here. So I would keep it over here. And the state is just your variables and function that is getting updated. That's an interesting one. I haven't tried it. I'm not going to try it. All right. Any other questions? All right. Give it a try. Let's do the next exercise. Look at the syntax over here. This is exercise number 28. Same counter thing. You just have to add a decrement counter. Add another property. This time when you click it, it goes down. Let's go ahead and run this. This is exercise number 28. So either you guys really got it or just went over the head and you're like, you know what, I'm done with this class today.
The second one?
Yeah, it's probably the second one. That's it. That's what I said. And again, I would highly recommend, please go back and redo these exercises. This is the core. This is the core of React, right? I mean, React, we saw on day one, you thought it's easy, build it and done. This is the core. These two props and state, this is what makes and breaks React, okay? There's no way getting around it. So we are doing decrement, this one, right? CD. Let's run this first and see what our unsolved brings. Again, I've copied everything over, and then we'll take a look at it, how it comes up. Okay. In the unsolved one, if you click the increment, it works. So the code is there. What you have to do is you have to add a counter which goes down. Okay, first add a button, and this time make your count go down. Actually, you don't even need a new state variable. You can use the same one, looks like. Add a button, and this time your count goes down. So in your install, you will see they're using React.component. I already explained this part. Make sure you understand that. Start with app. Okay, nothing new here. This should be same. So basically all you have to do is just add a new button over here and then add a new count. Well, not even new count. What is it? Yeah, start on, yeah, you can start on it. It is, yeah.
They had a lot more steps.
Oh yeah.
It got confusing.
So go ahead and add a new button basically, and this should be, and I need a new function. Okay, so handle decrement. Okay, and then in this dot set state, this time my counter is going down. Okay, so count this dot state dot count -1. So this is going down. Let's add some space here. Okay, a little more space. This is decrement. All right, so just I copy pasted the same increment code, change the text to decrement, and then I will update the function over here. Decrement, handle decrement. So I created same thing, handle increment. You can just copy paste this, or I would recommend writing it out so that you guys kind of get familiar with the syntax arrow functions. This time the count is going up, the next time it should go down. And then you create a button and then just call this function. That should be it. Let's try it. Increment and decrement. I added a space. I did a shortcut. I don't want to do the CSS. I just added the space.
Do that, Danielle.
I don't want to. I don't like CSS.
Cheating.
Yeah.
There's just the wrong way to do it.
Yes. Which one? Oh, please. This is a bad shortcut. Yeah, it's just adding space between the buttons. I gotta.
It doesn't work for me.
Not yet.
It worked for me.
Sure. Do you have the right parentheses with you?
Yeah. I don't think it's
Done?
Yeah, mine does.
Awesome.
I just did the same thing instead of like copying the first folder over and over. I just copied instead of don't put add in the new source folder. I just copied it. Did what you did there.
Yeah. That's better.
Faster than trying to get
Yeah.
it.
All right. Any questions on this exercise?
No.
You got it? The next one is the tough
That was
one now.
confusing. Really confusing.
Okay. Same thing. Calm down. Look at the README and see what's. Did you draw it out and understand what's going on?
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Going through it and then refactoring.
let's look at the next one. That's it uses state and your map. So everything is coming together. State, map, in the next exercise.
I did set the state to JSON.
All right. This is exercise. What is it? 28? Oh, 29. 29. CD. Friend refactor. Let's make sure this is running first.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
it's SpongeBob with X's.
SpongeBob with what?
X's on.
Oh, that
Yes.
one. Nice.
No, this is just a hit list.
Oh, why does it look like this?
Oh no, Daniel, why'd you break it? It's because you're
Not
hacked.
mobile responsive.
See, this is what you get.
This is not even the solution. This is the unsolved one that I'm
I
running.
know. It's perfect.
Is it, you guys have the same thing?
No, mine's
Yeah.
fine.
Mine's not all messed up like that, but
Mine's like
Shame
that.
on you, Daniel.
Yours is like that? What did we do different?
Try cheating.
We copied the source folder.
That's what we
Cheaters
did.
never
Yeah.
prosper.
Yeah, my thing.
oh yeah, I
Mm.
messed it up with my state.
Maybe it is part of the exercise that we need to fix this. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Oh, no.
Not the wrapping, just the X's.
Mm.
They're back.
This is going to bother me now.
Bootstrap is just not correct.
Somebody just tell me how to fix this.
I don't know, Daniel. You guys
Put it in a block.
You know what?
He's saying put it in a block.
I thought you were talking about what else.
Shouldn't this be in a title? Wasn't that the title got removed?
That is weird.
There's no title now.
I do.
Yeah, this was in our title, but now.
Yeah.
Oh, this is why, because they just put it over here. I like the title one. Are you guys using the unsolved one or you?
I only have an unsolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to
Yeah,
do
you think I'm
stuff.
a TA already, Daniel? What is this?
No, I thought you guys are using a previous exercise.
For some reason,
That's
I
what-
know.
Yeah, I guess-
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, when I go on to GitLab, I just get everything.
Oh, but you click this, it goes away.
Right,
Right, right, right. Yeah. So yeah, you have to fix this. That this should go away.
Yeah.
You don't do that, but it is properly laid out.
Yes, we get it, Michael. Yours is working good.
I know, but this is just because you're a back-end developer.
Somebody fix this and let me know what I need to do.
You didn't copy and paste properly.
Ah, let me go back and do that then.
It doesn't have location.
It doesn't have location. Anyway, this is not the important part if people are trying to fix the CSS. Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I'm missing the title one. How's that?
You didn't copy and paste properly.
Let's go refactor. No? Yeah. Yes, you are supposed to read the README file. That's a good question. Oh, I know, because I'm missing the title thing. I'm going to copy this from the previous solved one. It should? It has the title?
No, I thought it was.
Apparently it's not there, so I'm going to copy this.
Prop dot location is under address. So we only showing name, occupation, address. We got the file. That's in,
I was trying to go ahead and navigate. You fixed it.
I fixed it. I just couldn't live with it. I need to go and fix this thing.
It was a little weird. It was messing up my mojo for the day, so
I am delivered. The name and
Again, if you guys are confused, this is actually not part of the exercise. I'm just.
It's just
Yes, fix it.
Yeah, yes, Daniel.
Now we can move on to the real deal. All right, so what do we have to do? So the purpose is this click should work.
and what should it do?
What should it do? It should go away. It's an X. So if you click this, it should. Let's see. Attempt to complete each of the following. So this is, we got this part, localhost works fine. Refactor the app component, so that is class component. Oh, change it to a class component. Interesting. Right, so this is a function component, right? So the first part is convert it into a class component. Look at the counter one and give it a try. See how do you convert this into a class component. Sounds like too much work. That's why you're getting paid to do this. Wow. Eventually, hopefully.
yeah. Not mine.
Convert it into a class component. All right. So, what do I need for the class? I need to import the component, right? Let's do it here.
I'm just gonna go Class app.
Yep. Okay, so I have this, yeah. Imported this first, and this should change into class. Yep. So it will be class, this, remove the parentheses, extends component. Okay, that's a good start. So that this is the first. Now it's giving me all kind of errors. Why? Because I need that function, right? Render function. So let's go ahead and add the render function. That should return this. What would be the easiest way to fix this? Doesn't look like. Yeah, I was trying to see if I can wrap this in something and make it easy, but that's okay, we'll go. So I need a render function, right? And then this render function has this whole return thing. So this ends over here. We need the render function, right? So I define my render function. And then render function has the return, so I just wrap the whole thing in my return. Wasn't too bad. It was like 2-3 lines of change. What were we talking about?
I know.
That was not too much work.
Suffering that was involved in thinking.
All right, so I converted this into a class component, and that's how you do it. Why is it? Caution? Somebody said return?
Oh, my return was wrong, yeah.
Did you wrap this return in the end?
Now my X is highlighted.
Yeah, it should be.
And that was it, right?
That was it for the first part. That was actually the easy one. So why did we wrap this in a class component? Because what? No, other than the suffering part. Why did we wrap this in a class component?
Well,
Because we are going to eventually, this should give you a hint that we are going to use a state. A state does not work in a function component. So that's why we need to convert this into a class component.
so only a prop works in
Yes, yes. Prop also works in a class. Also, we can do this also, but for now, yes. Props works in a function only. State doesn't work in a function component at all. So that's why if you have to convert into a class, this means that state is coming.
What was component? Are you saying that it's not defined?
Did you import it like this? I imported component.
I did not.
So that's why. So what's next on the README?
this dot state.
Refactor. No, refactor the app component so that rendering each friend component manually use the map. That's where am I?
The second one.
The one. We're still on one.
Yeah, one.
Okay. Set. Okay, that's all right. Don't get upset. We'll get it. Map over the this dot state friends. All right. So we need to get this friends into our state now. Okay. And what do we have right now? We have friends as an array coming over here. So let's go ahead and add a state and put our friends inside our state. Same as the counter thing. State variable. Okay, it's going to be an object, and this time instead of counter, I'm going to have friends. Okay. Okay, and where is this friends coming from? This is where from the import.
Now, why do you need this complaint?
I'm following the README. So instead of this, looks like we are going to get this from the state variable. That's we're kind of converting into state. That's the exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why? Because we need to make it interactive. Right now, this is not interactive. Why not? If I click this button, nothing happens. And the only way to make this work is make it interactive. And how do we make it interactive? There's only one way, to use the state. So that's why we're converting into a state. Okay? Now we have to What do we have to do? Map. All right, so let's go ahead and remove all of this since we are going to loop through, create a map. Michael, you completed this part, right?
Yeah.
All right, what do I need to do?
So since we have it, we already have the array of objects. We can do in the curly brace. We need to first create curly braces. So we can use JavaScript
Okay, like this,
Yeah.
and then it ends over here.
All right.
Okay.
And then at the very beginning, I
Okay.
have this dot state dot friends.
Excellent. Ooh, no. This dot state dot friends.
Friends.
Okay.
Dot map.
Dot map.
And then open
Let's finish
parentheses,
this
element.
element.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. This
Bob, a fat arrow function.
arrow function.
Change the friends, where you don't have to change friends.
Oh, I like that. That's what a good lazy programmer is. Nice. Change your friend so I don't have to upgrade this. Excellent. All right, and this
And
this
then
goes
start,
in this, right?
Yeah.
Like in
Curly
this.
braces. More curly braces.
Well, this is just one line eventually, right? So I don't need a. This is all from the JavaScript perspective. It's still one line. So okay, it's a
And
good
then
start. It's giving me error.
In
What am I?
principle, I have curly braces, and then return that in the friend card.
What is it? No, it's the error is I'm accessing it wrong.
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah.
the
You gotta bring
arrays.
it back.
Right. We don't need the this thing. That's why. Yeah. Ah, there it is. Oh my friend. Oh, look at that. How many friends? Okay. Look at the map exercise. We went same thing. We did the list one, right? Same thing over here. Yes. Which part?
I don't even know what the city error is.
What's the error?
It says there's a parsing error, expected comma somewhere. But that's
Right. So you're missing the parentheses or something.
Yeah, but I've eliminated it all. But
All right. What's next in the README? So we did the first. Are we done with the first one? Everybody agree?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the second one. We factor the app component so that rather than rendering each friend, use the map. So we did this. We are using the map to render the friend component for each object. We did this, passing in the appropriate props. Okay, that's we did this, right? We're passing in the props, rendering, mapping. So basically, 2 is also done. Or am I missing something here?
Looks like it's done.
Right? All right, let's go to the third one. Add functionality to the application when the X. This is interesting. When the red X icon is clicked, then you remove. To accomplish this, you should define a method inside of app which accepts an ID as a parameter and then utilize the filter function. All right, let's break it down. So first we need to define a method inside of app which accepts an ID as a parameter. Okay, so create a function that accepts as an ID. Come here, let's call it remove friend, give it a name. Okay, and what does it accept? What is the syntax? What is the arrow function? Create arrow function, right? This is how you create an arrow function. I need to pass an ID. Pass an ID, just one parameter, so let's remove the parentheses. And then we should do something over here. But this is what they're saying. Create a function with one parameter called ID, and it does something.
Repeat that, what again?
We need to create a function which takes input as one parameter. That's what this is saying, right? Should define a method inside of app which accepts an ID parameter. That's what we did. Right. Let's move on next one. And then utilize the filter to create a new array of friends without the past ID. What does this mean? So the thing is, we need to use the filter function. What does filter do? Creates a new array. And what's interesting about the new array? Whatever you are searching for. Right.
It doesn't have to be the same length.
It doesn't have to be the same length. No. Again, we will come to that. But filter returns an array. That's one thing. And filter is going to have a different size than the array that you're working on. Remember map? Map always returns the same size of the array, right? If it is 5, it will give you 5 elements. What does filter do? It gives you a size which is less than or equal to, right? It basically filters through your array, creates a new one. If you pass in 5 objects, it might give you 3, 2, 1 or whatever. But it's going to be less than or equal to this size. Okay, that's what filter does. Map, exact same size. Filter, reduce size. Usually it's reduced. All right. With that, they're saying I need to use a filter array and pass an ID. What does this mean? So this is my remove function. I'm using a filter method, the filter over here. What am I filtering?
The ID.
The ID. Basically, I'm saying that whatever ID I receive, go ahead and basically remove that ID from my array. And what is my array? Friends. So I want to go ahead and use the filter function and remove the ID that gets passed in. That's the concept. We'll see how we do it, but I need to use the filter function. Why? Because filter is the one that kind of reduces my array. So my array size is this. How many are there? 10, 12? 10? Or I don't know, 10. Let's suppose there are 10. If I click X, I want this to be gone. So I want this to be removed from my array. Which array? This array. And how do I remove this? I use the filter function. So let's go ahead and it's still going to be a same line, but I'll remove it later on. So what's my array called? This dot state dot friends, right? And I use the map function. This time I'm going to use the filter function. All right. Stub it out. What are the parameters? Same thing. What does filter take? Yes. Callback. Callback with 3 parameters: value, index, array. All right. Same thing as map. Yes. Any question I have, just say callback. Chances are it's going to be right. All right. So same as map. So what do I get? I get friend. Let's call it friend. Callback function. And then I'm going to do something here. Okay. Now what's the what does filter return? Like what in the callback? What is it? It returns an array. But what has to be the condition? Like when I'm going through each one.
If it's clicked.
No. Just a filter function. Remember from the previous class, filter function? I have to give it a condition which should return true or false. Yes. So a filter, how does it filter? What am I trying to filter? I'm trying to filter that whichever ID that gets passed in, right? Don't accept that ID, return everything. That's my purpose over here. So if I pass in ID number 5, I'm saying that within this array, return everything except number 5. So this will build a new array. Why? If I click this, I want this to be gone. And how do I say it? I say, oh, this is my 10 array, and this is the ID. Find this ID, and accept that ID, return everything else. That's what I'm trying to do over here. And then it has to be a condition. So, Blair, what was your condition? Exactly. Friend.id is not equal to let's remove these parentheses y. It has to be auto return. All right, just one line. Why is it saying green? What is it?
It's friends.
No, I used friend. I did friend. It's a linter issue. What is it? Come on, Papa. Oh, I know. It's saying you use double equals. That's what it is. Good practice. Yes. All right. So what is it saying? It is saying that find the ID which is not equal to this. Filter that out. So if I pass in 5, it's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to skip the 5th one.
Why'd you take the brackets off?
Why did I take the curly braces off? Why? Who knows that answer?
Line auto return.
Yes.
I want to return this. If I put curly braces, I have to put a keyword saying return this. If I remove this is auto return. This will evaluate and return it. That's the short form for the curly braces. Okay, so what am I getting back? I'm getting a new array. So let's go ahead and store this in a new array. Okay, I can use const because this is only visible over here. And then I need to update my,
Why is it friend instead of friends?
where?
In the filter.
Why?
Because you did the same real quick.
Yeah.
And this is just one friend. Friends is the array, and friend is one element of that array. That's why it's looping through. It's giving you one friend. Right. So this, if you can put friends over here, it will still work, but it gives the wrong impression. It's giving the wrong message. Yes, it's giving the wrong impression also. All right. So what am I updating? This dot state friends. Okay, and this friends corresponds to this one over here. So basically, I'm saying, hey, update this state with, replace it with this array. What else? So I have this remove friend. Now where is this component? Is this over here? It's a separate one. It's this one, right? Where is this X? It's actually in the friend card over here. So what I need to do, if this X is pressed, then I need to do something, right? So I need to go and modify my friends component. Wow, that's tricky. How would I do that? Yes, excellent. Well, somebody's getting it, so that's good. It wasn't a total waste. All right, so what do I need to do? If this gets pressed, this should disappear. So I need to change this into a kind of a button. So when the click happens, on click, yes. All right. Another person is getting it, so 2 people. All right, so on click, what do I need to do? On click, then I need to call a function that should remove this friend. Do I have a function called remove?
Yes.
Yes. Where is it? It's not in this, but it is present over here, right? So how do I access this? It's here. It exists, but it's not in the right. Well, I shouldn't say right. It's at the right position. To the friend card, I can pass it as a property. Remove friend. This dot remove friend. Remember, I can pass a function, property, constant, anything I want. So what am I doing? I'm passing this function inside my friend as a property, so I can access this over here. Why is it giving me errors? Oh, because it's empty. Okay, now I already have this props. I can access props dot remove friend, and then it is looking for an ID. Am I passing the ID? No. So let's go ahead and pass the ID too. ID is equal to this dot, sorry, what am I doing? Friends dot ID. Okay.
How did you do it in the other part? In the,
App index. Yeah, I'm coming back there. I need the ID. So first, let me pass the ID over here, and then over here I have props dot. I can call this function because it is part of that, and then I can pass in an ID. But this is still wrong. And why is this? This syntax is right, and I'm passing there. This is all good. Why? Because this is the props, and my props has a function called remove friend. I can call that, and then it's an ID. I can pass. This is all good.
Did you ever create props?
I do, right? It's over here. Props is there. There's nothing wrong with this syntax that you are seeing. Everything is getting passed in console log. This works, but there's something wrong with the on click.
It should not. Should be
On click. Okay, so here, remember from our counter, what does on click expect? What kind of a function that you need to pass in? Yes, right? It is expecting a function that has one parameter. Either it's going to be an event or it has to be nothing. What am I passing over here? I'm passing an ID, so it doesn't recognize. On click is a, hey, I don't know what to do with ID. It has to be an event or it has to be empty. That's what on click is expecting. Okay, again, on click, when you use the on click method, you need to pass in a function that is either empty or you can pass an event over here. You cannot pass ID or it doesn't recognize ID. It kind of freaks out. That's why you see it's empty. Now, what's the hack to do it? Yes, somebody said it. Yes. So make a new function and then pass this function inside it. I know it sounds confusing. Here.
Codemaster. I like it.
All right. What does my onClick expects? It's expecting a function, okay, which has to be either no arguments or an event. Let's skip the event part, okay? So you have to do this. Now within this, this is the body part, right? I can call this function. So I created a function and it's calling this function. That's what it is. This is the solution to kind of overcome this issue over here. Again, this is the issue. This is not an issue. This is how onClick is defined. OnClick function expects a function that either has no argument or an event as an argument. Okay? So to overcome this, I am passing it a function with no arguments. Within the body, it is calling this, which is fine, but I'm still passing this function empty one. I'm not. You can pass an e over here. This will start working. It's still the same thing. It doesn't matter. But it has to be one argument, and it's going to be an event.
You gave a function that has no argument, but in that is another function.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And why am I able to use it? Because this is props.id. It's not dependent on anything. Props is already being passed over here, right? And I call a function and pass this ID. It's not depending on this anyway. And this should works. Yes.
Can you go back to the app and show us that?
What is it? Apps?
You pass the ID and all that stuff.
Alright, so this example, what did we do? We started with props. This example uses props. These are our props. Then we looked at the map function. Okay, this uses the map function. Last thing we looked at is the state, and this uses the state. So all these three things are coming together with the same example. I can see your faces, but I still have to do one more thing. So bear with me. All right. Yes. Over here.
I mean, it eliminates it basically.
So where are all of those removed arrays?
Remove arrays.
Where are they at now?
The array is still over here in the app component, this friends array. Oh, it's all in memory. You refresh your page, it will come back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is just this array, and which is in memory. It's not actually deleting from your JSON file. It's just removing
But
this
is
from
it
there.
storing it?
Because I remember you mentioned.
No, it's not.
Access the removed data?
No.
No, I'm not gonna send it somewhere.
Yeah, we need some database or something. Right now, it's just this array, state.friends. So refresh it, it will come back. There it is. Comes back.
So you gotta do a state.
Okay, dang.
Yes.
It like works, but it says the same thing where each child in the list should have a unique key prop. And I remember that was from the last one where you have to have a key value.
Yeah. Just add ID. It should be. Where was I getting that error? Oh, it was in the list, but I don't have the list over here anymore. Why do you have a? You shouldn't be getting that error. There's no. It gives you an error. What you have to do is something over here you need to pass in. That was in the previous one though.
I know, that's why I was getting that error.
Oh yeah, then add the key as an ID. All right. Let's look at the last thing. I mean, it's again, this is another exercise, but it's similar to this one, as in it still uses state. There's no like a new concept or anything. It's using forms this time. All right. Let me do this. We are running out of time, so I'm going to show you the forms part and walk you guys through this one. Let's see. Fun with forms demo. What is confusing? There shouldn't be anything confusing. All right. npm start. Please work. Come on. All right. So this last part again, the concept is still the same. It uses the state variables. Now what is happening over here is the only difference is we are using forms. For example, if you put your name, you see on the top, it's kind of getting updated. Okay. Again, this should tell you this is using state, because as soon as you type in over here, I'm getting this. So this is probably you're using this .state.name and update everything. Okay. The only difference over here is this is a form. So if you look at the, let's start with the app.js. App.js, I have a form. Okay, I'm not passing any state or anything over here. So this tells me all this is inside this form component. All right, so app.js is easy. Let's go to our form. All right, so class component, because I'm going to use a state. If you look at the UI, I should have a heading. I should have 2 input boxes and a button. Okay, so that's the easy part. So we'll go down and see I have my label over here. It's wrapped in a p tag. Okay, then I have my form class, my form tag, which gives me the first input, the second input, which is the last name, and then 1 button. Okay, we'll look at each one of them. But right now, this is my p. This is the p tag. This is my input boxes in the form tag, and then 1 button. Okay. Button, same thing. On click expects a function, so that's why handle form submit. So basically, this function is submitting the form. It's doing something, right? Let's see what it is doing. Okay, so it shows up in alert. So if I look at the code, it's showing in alert with first name and last name. All right. Let's look at that one because this one looks easy. Okay, event.prevent default, same concept as our HTML form. We don't want this form to be submitting on its own. We take the control. That's why we put event.prevent default. Now, you saw the alert. This is why the alert comes up. All right. The state variable, the state has two properties, first name and last name. Okay, so this is what I'm updating. That's what it shows up over here. So let's minimize the state and look what happens. All right, this time when you click the submit button, prevents default, gives you an alert, takes the first name, last name, and shows it on the screen. Right? Any questions so far? Good? All right. What am I doing on line 33 and 36? Resetting it. It's just putting it into empty string, which means it's just resetting it. Okay? So this is important, that as soon as I type something in, you see each letter kind of shows up on the top. And this is being done by handle input change. All right, so each of your forms, remember the on change method, which comes with your part of your input tags. On change method is saying each keystroke it monitors. That's what on change is. On each keystroke do something. What am I doing? Call this function. Same concept. It can only take in an event or empty string. All right, same thing over here. So let's look at our handle input change. All right, this is interesting, and this is called destructuring. I'm not sure if I don't think I went through it, but remember this event. So if I want to, let's go ahead and console log this event first, so that you guys can see what am I actually getting. You see this event that I'm putting? I'm getting a name, type, placeholder, and value. These are the things that are coming in event.target. Right? If I want to get the name out of it, what do I have to do? Const name is equal to event.target.name. Right? I'm parsing this this value that comes back. Ooh, what happened? Oh, that's okay. We'll comment. If I want to get the value, how do I parse it? Event.target.value. Okay, and this still works. Everything should be good. So you can put in something, still shows up over here. Okay. Now, what is this syntax? With ES6, this syntax is called destructuring. What this does is, this is kind of repeating over here. What you can do is, you can create just one object, give it name, whatever you want to call it. I have name and value. And if you do event.target, let me comment this also. What it does is it destructures this this object. It goes into event.target and then finds name and value. Finds event.target.name, event.target.value, and assigns it both to these things. This is called destructuring, and this is part of ES6. Okay, again, it went through this. It does the same thing that I did on line number 15 and 16. It's just a shorter syntax to write it. Shorter syntax. We are lazy, so we don't want to type in 2 lines. We just type in 1 line and do it. It's just a newer syntax, and this is called destructuring. If you get asked what is destructuring, this is destructuring. But basically, you have an object and you divide your assigning values. Instead of writing in 2 lines, you can do this in 1 line. It's confusing. Takes some time to get used to it, but you will see this syntax a lot in React code. They kind of use it very frequently. Okay. What is going on? Last thing, number 9, 21 to 22. This dot set state. Setting the state. Excellent. What is this being set to? Name, but what is in my name? Event or target in my name? Let's output and see what comes up in the name. Where's my name? Inside what? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it just takes time to refresh. So in my name, I'm getting this first name. Okay. So with these parentheses, these square bracket, what happens is your name variable gets replaced with first name, and then it assigns whatever value this is. And why is this important? If you go into your input, I'm giving this input tag, this HTML is called first name. So it knows where to go and put this value. That's why it is doing. Otherwise, this is exactly the same as saying first name is equal to value. And this first name is in my state over here, right? So I'm trying to update this state over here. You can do this also, but then you have to do last name also, last name dot value. So instead of repeating this, what the short form or this is that you can put this, and this gets replaced with first name and last name. All right, again, I'm going to upload this solution. I know this is, you still need to go back and look at the previous ones. By the time you get over here, go ahead and take it. Again, it's props and state, there's no escaping. That is React. And that is where the powers of React comes in, okay? Again, there's an optional checkpoint if you guys want. I know it's already late. They'll strike out the checkpoint. It's for Mongo, I think. MongoDB, right? 15 minutes. It is supposed to be done in the class. Again, it's optional. You have to go. It's fine. It's just for something.
Power.
I
I want to take it, but
And then there's homework also. Click something. Right. So look at that homework as well. All right. What questions can I answer?